Welcome. I'm so honored that you're joining me today on Reclaim Your Life event. I'm Duane, the host and the producer of the show. I'm a life recovery coach, but I really feel that I'm a transformational guide for women, helping them reclaim their lives and discover their authentic voice. This is the third season of Reclaim Your Life, featuring leading visionaries and heart-centered women whose passion through their work is to serve others and share their gifts to make the universe a better place. Each guest will share how they have transcended extraordinary challenges, loss, and in some cases, deep trauma to become the women they are today. And I am so excited to introduce you to today's guest. Shannon Kaiser has been named Women to Watch in Wellness and Most Influential Top 25 People in Wellness by Mind, Body, Green. She's the best-selling author of Find Your Happy, an inspirational guide to loving life to its fullest, and a 6-time contributing author to the international best-selling series Chicken Soup for the Soul. She's an inspirational travel writer, motivational speaker, life coach, graphic designer, marketing professor, and the founder of the popular website playwiththeworld.com. Her ideas have been featured in media outlets such as Good Morning America, Good Day New York, Inside Edition, Huffington Post Live, KATU AM Northwest, and she's an online columnist for Mind, Body, Green, Huffington Post, Yahoo Voices, Examiner, Healing Lifestyle and Spas, Tiny Buddha, and one of my all-time favorites, The Daily Love. She lives in Portland, Oregon, with her adventure buddy, her dog Tucker. Welcome, Shannon.
Hi, welcome. It's so great to be here. Thank you.
Oh, it's wonderful to connect with you. You know, we worked together last week a little bit on a launch, and that was fun. And it's just
great
so,
energy.
Yeah. It's amazing what women can do when they get together and they collaborate. We're unstoppable creatures.
Absolutely. And I think when we let our heart lead the way, there really is no stopping whatsoever.
I agree. Now, you have got it all happening now. You're featured here, you're on Huffington Post, you were just on with your dog on Huffington Post, and all these good things are happening. Yeah. But at some point, life looked a little differently than it did today. So take us to where you really felt some of your greatest challenges and how you moved through those to get where you are today.
In fact, let's go back in time 5 years ago. Just 5 years ago, I was climbing the corporate ladder. I was working in advertising. I was in Chicago. I was working at one of the largest advertising companies in the world. And it sure looked like I had it all together. I had a really healthy paycheck. I was dating a man who wanted to marry me. And on the outside, it was like, check, got this, this is what's supposed to make you happy. But on the inside, it was a completely different story. I was filled with fear, self-hate, and it turned into eating disorders and drug addictions. And my doctor actually diagnosed me with clinical depression. And it was in those moments where I hit rock bottom, literally. I was on the bathroom floor crying one night, and the tears were hurting my body because I had done this so many nights before. And this night it was especially aggressive. And I said, I can't do this anymore. I cannot keep being someone that I'm not. And up until that point, I didn't know what I wanted because I thought what I was living was what I wanted. But when I got to it, it wasn't at all what I thought it would be. And so in those moments, I finally hit a full surrender. And it was almost as if, in fact, the air around me thinned out. And it was like my inner voice had a platform. My angels, my higher power said, Shannon, follow your heart. And literally, I got up right there. I splashed water on my face, and it was the first time I actually had hope. And I started to create a plan. And since then, I've become very clear about what my mission and purpose is. And I'm on a steadfast mission to help others find happiness through their darkness.
Wow. You know, you touched upon something that I think is really important. You had it all. You had the great job. You had the man that loved and adored you and wanted to marry you. You were rocking and rolling, but there was something missing inside. You were empty. And you were filling that pain by addiction. Was it alcohol or pills?
Yes, drugs and pills, yep.
Yeah. I mean, I understand addiction, 25 years of very heavy alcoholism.
Yeah.
So you realized that that wasn't bringing you your happiness.
Absolutely.
And go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was thinking, congratulations on your recovery too, by the way. But
Thank
I
you.
think it's amazing that we can be here today to share our stories, because I know what it's like to be stuck in an addiction that's overpowering. And for me, my addiction was an easy way for me to lean on something, anything to feel. I was trying to numb myself from the numbness of my life, but it gave me a source of feeling because I was actually avoiding my feelings. Up until that point, I had never really asked myself, Shannon, who are you? And what do you want? And because I was allowing the world to tell me who I should be and what I should do based on my skills, go into advertising and get a man, fall in love, get married, all that, it was like I was just kind of going through the motions, and that left this huge void inside. And so the drugs and the alcohol became a very convenient source of temporary relief, until I recognized that this is not a way to live my whole life. Like there truly is a way to be happy without having substances or any pills or drugs.
So when you asked yourself the question, who is Shannon? What did you get for an answer?
It's actually really amazing, because I asked myself, and first thing my inner voice said, it's not this. And so I realized everything I was living was not working. So at the time, I didn't know who I was or what I really wanted until I could walk away from what wasn't working. So I decided to walk away from my corporate job. My dog and I moved back to Portland, Oregon, where I grew up and where my family was. And through each step, I decided to commit to following my heart. And each step I took, for example, my heart said, okay, you don't know who you are, but you know what you don't want. So keep following your heart. And it led me to travel. And so I went on a trip to Paris. And as I was in Paris, I started writing. And then I submitted a story to Chicken Soup for the Soul, and they accepted it. And when I got that letter that said, you are now a published author, oh my gosh, I fell to the ground with tears of excitement, because I realized, wow, this is who I am. So even if you don't know who you are exactly, it's a very loaded question. We're like, oh, I could have said, I'm Shannon, I work in advertising. But we're not our job, it's so much more. And so I took the steps, and then I learned who I really was. Guided action.
Guided action.
It really helped.
So how long were you in this dark place?
Well, that's a great question, because I think it started when I was 9 years old. I was bullied when I was little. I didn't turn to drugs when I was 9, but there was a lot of fears that started to happen then. And that's when I started going through the motions of trying to cover up. So I started overeating and binge eating at 9 because I was bullied so much in school. I felt alone because my parents were entrepreneurs and worked really hard. So I would come home and there was no one there to comfort me at my young age. So food became a source. And so I think a lot of us have these pains and traumas. But for me, the eating disorders, once I got into high school, turned into, instead of overeating, it was anorexia and bulimia. And then when I got to college, it was a cycle in and out. So then I found drugs to escape. I turned to cocaine because that suppresses your appetite. And it was this vicious cycle of replacing one addiction for another. But with every single substance or eating disorder or even the depression, it was me, in a sense, trying to find control in my life because it felt out of control. And so it was about really getting clear about the emotions and letting myself feel the emotions. Then I was able to slowly heal.
Tell me about out of control, because I understand that. I know what that means, but to our listeners, what was out of control for you when you look back at that?
Well, when you're in the addiction or in the cycle of anything where you feel powerless, the out of control for me was trying to have control of my life and not trusting my higher power. Everything's really shifted now that I've allowed the guidance and the support of the universe to help me. But out of control could have looked like a 3-day binge on cocaine, cycled with crazy other things that were really heavy and dark. But for me, the out of control was not allowing myself to be who I really am. All of the addictions, all of the depression really lifted and left without a lot of hard. We feel like it's going to be really hard, but it really was more graceful, and the process can be joyful. I know it sounds funny, but it can be joyful when you allow grace to come in the sense that that is how I was able to allow myself to say, Shannon, who do you really want to be? And as I took those steps, the addictions really left my life, because I'm out playing with the world now. I have no interest in doing drugs because my life is so amazing now.
And then you said you asked yourself, what do you want to do?
Mm-hmm.
And what did you
Very
get
key.
as an answer to that question?
Well, it was daily action. So that very moment, and I write about this in my first book, Find Your Happy, I asked and it said, clear out clutter. You have stuff. And it's like clothes I hadn't worn in a long time, things that were just piling up, and I got rid of all of them. And as I started to clear out my physical space, there was like this vortex of energy that was able to come into me to help my dreamer come alive. And it led me to say, Shannon, book that trip to Paris that you've been wanting to go to for like 6 years. So I pulled out my bucket list, which I call the magic list, and I started to add things and look at things that I had always wanted to do. And I started to do them one thing at a time.
You know, you've touched upon something that I don't think people realize. We have to make room in our lives for the things that we want. And we do get so cluttered and loaded with stuff. And not only in the physical sense of just stuff around us, but I think even internally. I think our souls get so filled with clutter, and our minds with concepts and perceptions and ideas and things that come from other people that have no meaning for us personally, but they just fill our heads with crap. And until we can, do a cleansing process, get rid of the stuff that does not resonate with us, get rid of the stuff that we're no longer in alignment with, and cleanse our hearts, our souls, our emotions, our minds, we don't have room to attract what we want.
Yes. And I think that that's really it is. It's like if you imagine a teacup and it's full, like you can't really be of service or help other people if you're full capacity. So really life is a balancing act of holding on and letting go. So what I ask myself daily now is, what do I need to let go of in order to get to where I want to go? And this is sometimes letting go of extra papers, maybe certain appointments that aren't serving me, but a lot of times it's limiting beliefs that are still holding me back. And I think that's why we stay in some of these dark places, because we don't feel worthy or we're not ready to move forward. And just clearing out space can be a conscious self-awareness act that can help bring you more joy.
I imagine that you have a daily practice that supports you in creating the life that you desire and that you have. I mean,
Yes.
that you have to have some kind of daily spiritual practice or practice. Share with me what that is.
Yeah, well, for me personally, I wake up and before I even get out of bed, I say thanks and I'm grateful. I'm so grateful that I'm awake for another day and I get to live and see and allow the day to go where it is. One of the reasons I left corporate is so I could be my own boss and have the freedom to make my own schedule. So every single day is completely different, whether I'm working with life coaching clients in the morning and helping them, or I'm, writing articles. But for me, every single day I must get into nature. Even when it rains a lot here in Oregon, I get my butt outside because that fuels my soul, and usually includes playing with my dog Tucker in nature, and also saying thanks, giving gratitude and thanks. And really where I am right now is being present and allowing myself to go inward and say, Shannon, what do you need right now? And just yesterday, I realized that I absolutely have to get back out into the world and travel. So I booked a trip to the Caribbean just last night because I'm constantly checking in with myself. And just last week, I had no idea that, in 3 weeks I would be in the Caribbean. But I've allowed and created a lifestyle that allows me to really lead from my heart and be of service in that way.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
You have a very special relationship with Tucker.
Mm-hmm. He's amazing. What's interesting is, let's go back in time
It's
six
more than
years.
just having a
Yep.
dog. It's
100%. 6 years ago, when I was in Chicago, and my boss had just told me, you used to be our go-to, but he even said you seem depressed, and the work was starting to recognize that when you're depressed, everything around you starts to notice. And I was reading an article about the power of dogs and their, friendship, and how if you adopt them, there's a clinical study that helps them through depression. And so I decided, okay, I'm going to honor my feeling, and I adopted a dog. I adopted him through a golden retriever rescue center in Chicago. And what was amazing is, when I saw him the very first moment, my life changed dramatically. He jumped up and gave me a kiss in the elevator in my condo, and I knew it was fate. And since then, he's been my adventure buddy. Because really what's happened is, he showed me, it's just like a mother who has a child. I would imagine he's my kid. I look at him that way. It really is about, it's more than you. And all of a sudden I realized my life is about making him happy too. But really, he, has helped me. I really owe my life to him. I think he healed me from depression in part. So furry friends, don't ever think that they don't really help us, because they're amazing.
Oh, I think animals are one of the
Yes.
most healing things we can have. I have my own little
Absolutely.
dog. She's like a soul sister to me. And
Yeah.
some days I say, if I didn't have her in my life, I don't know.
Right. I go through phases with Tucker too, because I understand there's this impermanency of life where everything's kind of, you go in and out. In my family, they lost their family dog last year, and it was really sad. And every day since then, I've been hugging Tucker more and giving him extra love, and just letting him know, because I think about often the day that he's not here and what would happen. But we can't allow ourselves to go there, because it takes away from the amazingness that it's almost like, don't cry over spilled milk, like, be happy that you had the milk. And I think it's hard, because we know our pets will leave. It's the horriblest thing
Yes.
that they don't live as long as we do. That's the one thing that I wish could change about the world. But the fact that he's here and has made my life so rich, just like you said, Banana Hannah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like, it's so much joy. It's amazing. So it's very special. He's great. And he loves that I can work from home too. Because, in the middle of the day, we go out for walks and stuff. He's a happy guy.
Wonderful. And, it's interesting. Although an animal may leave the planet physically, I feel that their souls are always with us. There's an imprint that they leave on our heart that never goes away. It's always with us.
Yes, I believe that too. And I see proof of that in my life. I often tell Tucker daily too, I say, thank you for being here, because I believe everything's a choice. And I believe even animals have a choice. They can choose, like, okay, I'm old and tired, and he's getting to be a senior age, but I let him know that I'm grateful for him as well.
Now, you're obviously in recovery, which is wonderful. And how are you doing with the eating disorders and that? Is that all managed now as well?
Yeah, so the eating disorders, it's interesting, because that has been the biggest issue for me, in the sense that once I started to really heal all the other areas of my life, I started to recognize that the eating disorder was just a surface cover up for my actual body hate. I grew up really hating my body because of being picked on. So over the past several years, as I've recovered and healed from all this other addiction and darkness, I've really worked on loving my body. And in fact, I've put it into a process that's landed me a book deal for my next book that's coming out in August with Random House Penguin, called Adventures for Your Soul. And so what's really amazing is body love is one of the biggest life lessons that I've had to learn. And it was one of those things that was covered up by eating disorders. But yes, today I can sit here and say I have a wonderful relationship with food and my body. I very much look at it as nourishment. I've healed my addictions, and I don't let them control me anymore. In fact, I don't even think about them. I go through my day because I'm so committed to life and happiness and health that it's really something in my past.
When I was younger, I was too skinny and too tall. I was 16, I was 6 feet tall, I weighed 100 pounds. Maybe 103. So deathly looking, and it wasn't intentional. It was, I just grew so tall so quickly, my body never had time to catch up. So I know about that bullying and the insults and the nicknames, and that's really what inspired me to drink. It made me feel better when I had a couple of beers, and I said, oh, this is great. I feel better. I can deal with this.
Yeah.
So I know how, as women, we can get into things for comfort. And I think that one of the biggest issues today is that as women, we can use food for comfort, and we don't realize how dangerous it is because we're eating food and we think, well, that's okay because it's food. But it's not like pouring alcohol down your throat or taking pills. And so because it's food, it's a little harder to fix and to, work through and get to the other side of it. So I commend you. It takes work.
It's the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life. Absolutely. Yeah. And I have gone to 12-step programs for eating and also the recovery. And to me, what I really learned is that we have to just trust our bodies. And a lot of the times we turn to food because we don't. We want to punish ourselves and we feel bad and we feel like the world tells us everything's bad. One day, paleo diet's good. The next day, vegan and green juice. And so as long as we're listening to out there and as long as I listen to the world, I was always made to feel really overweight and I had moments where I was so skinny that my ribs were sticking out too. It didn't matter what the number on the scale was. What mattered is how I felt about myself. So once I recognized that, I made it my full-time mission to work on loving me. And that meant looking in the mirror naked and crying until I could say something good about myself. That meant hugging myself. That meant stop picking on myself and, brushing your hair in the morning. Women especially, we have to become friends with ourselves. We have to at least be more compassionate. That was a turning point for me, and it's something I still really, really take to heart because it's the hardest thing that I have ever had to do, and I believe that it is possible for everyone, though, to truly trust and love themselves.
It's the foundation for happiness, because if we don't love ourselves, we really can't love anybody else.
Right. Yes.
Healthy relationships start with us first and how we feel about ourselves. And if we feel really good about ourselves, then we attract people that feel really good about us.
Yeah.
And when we don't feel good about ourselves, we attract people that abuse us and take advantage of us and use us and discard us. And boy, did I learn that lesson many times over the years.
Yeah. I think there is this point where we actually teach other people how they should treat us based on how we treat ourselves. And so I think to your point too, I had a lot of relationships like that too, those people aren't in my life anymore because I've really allowed myself to honor myself and respect myself. And therefore your friends start supporting and recognizing. And it's really about being kind to yourself and trusting yourself.
I know you love to help others now and you like to step up and serve. What gives you the greatest joy today?
Ooh, that's a great question. Well, doing this work, like being here with you and sharing this, I'm so thankful and blessed that I can be of service and share this message with people every day. It brings me the most joy in the world to be able to help people because I know exactly what it's like to be in the darkest place possible and not know how to go on and feel like, what is life worth? Like, why am I here? And to know that I've made it on this other side. And I still have stuff I'm going through, but as I learn, I want to be the teacher to help others because we're all in it together. We are all here together. And when we can join together, like you said in the very beginning, it becomes the most, like even right now, my heart is so full just talking about it. So that brings me the most joy.
I see you light up. So yeah, I get it. I just see this energy come right up through you as you share your truth and who you are and how you love yourself today. You're vibrant. It's wonderful.
Thank you.
It's really wonderful.
Thank you. And I have to add Tucker too. I'm very thankful for him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow, beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah.
So when will your new book be out?
Well, the published date, it's might change, but we're looking at August. So it's called Adventures for Your Soul, and it's just go to Play with the World to stay updated with it. But it's going to be great. We're in the final editing process right now.
Oh, wonderful. That's exciting. Now, you have a special free gift for our audience, our listeners, and I would love for you to share a little bit about that.
Yes, in fact, a lot of what we've talked about today may you want to be actioning, you want to put it into action, and I've created a guide called Love Your Life to the Fullest Guide that you can get for free. It's a full color, beautiful little booklet on step by step how you can take what we've talked about and put it into action immediately. And that's what just go ahead and get it right there. It's great.
Wonderful. And if anybody wants to reach out to you personally, after they've gone through this guide, and give us your website again, where they can find you.
Absolutely. So at the end of the guide, there's all my contact, but you can go to playwiththeworld.com, which is my website, and visit me through there, or especially on Facebook. My name's Shannon Kaiser Writes. I am always talking to people on there and through comments and everything.
Wonderful. Shannon, give us today, if you can, maybe in one sentence, the greatest lesson you've learned from your journey of challenge.
Mm-hmm.
What was your biggest lesson?
The biggest lesson, there's two. So the first is there's purpose to your pain. There's beauty and breakdown. Same kind of concept. And then the second one that came out of that is you matter. And you make a difference beyond your wildest dreams. And so those together have created the life and why I do what I do today, to help others recognize that about themselves.
I love that you say our pain has a purpose. I made a post yesterday on Facebook that said, the greatest lessons we learn in life are usually coming from the worst pain that we can experience. Mm-hmm. But in that process, we heal.
Yes.
And we all can heal. It's not easy, but it can happen.
Absolutely. And that's why you do beautiful events like this, and why we're serving the way we do, because when you can join together with other people, the healing becomes more balanced and it becomes more of a peaceful process. And so allow yourself to heal. And I love that post. I saw that one. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. No, it's true. And in
Absolutely.
My own life, I know from my deepest pain is when I learned the most about myself and how to move forward with my life.
Same here.
And even how to get my life back in some cases when I was really in a dark place like you were. Mm-hmm. And I felt so hopeless and that I had nothing to live for. At that moment is when I had one of the greatest lessons, where a voice spoke to me and said, you've got lessons to learn, and when you master them, you will need to go and teach others. Mm. And that's why I love doing this event and having visionaries like yourself on to share your challenge and where you are today. Bless you. You are so wonderful. It's just such a joy. And will you give Tucker Boy a big hug from me?
Yes, I certainly will.
Wonderful.
Same
Thank
with
you.
Yours.
Bless you, Shannon. And I can't wait to read your new book.
Thank you. It's been so great being here with you.
Bye.